Hi there. You're welcome again to this beautiful episode of our learning through the Bible characters. I believe it has been a very awesome time for you, and it has been so for me too. I have been blessed by these characters. Just bringing again the fact that they have been written for our examples. There were things that actually existed, they happened. While I was in one of my studies, I stumbled over one of the characters and I saw that historical fiction. It could not have been historical fiction that fitted that person into that time in history and so on. We're going to come to that character, but then it just shows that all of these people actually existed in time, and their lives are telling us that if certain things were possible with me, then it's possible with you. Whether it's a mistake, it's a flaw, it's success, victory, it's possible with you. So if they are written for your examples, it means that the good things are things we can imbibe, and for the things that are not necessarily something we can imbibe, then we'll drop them, right? That is why they are examples for us. It's better to learn from examples. All right, so we're going to be learning from the character of today, day 11, Lot. And just so I want to put this out there to say thank you to everyone who has been commenting, liking, and we've been having additional subscription. I want to say thank you. If you have not subscribed, please do well to subscribe. It's the wise thing to do. All right, so Lot. Let's hope that Lot is not a lot. Then Lot has a name that means what we call covering or veil. And what we want to pick out from the life of Saul, which I think is the most principal thing that anybody will study in the life of Lot, will be the power of association or proximity. I want to put it in that light, either association or proximity. First mention of Lot came up in the book of Genesis chapter 11 verse 31, where we saw that the father of Abraham, Terah, was traveling and his aim was to stop at Canaan, right? But now he couldn't get to that place, and he stopped at a place we call Haran, and there he had to wait, and he died there. So because Terah was taking care of Lot as his grandson. Now, Terah had three sons, just like for us to get a backstory. He had Haran, he had Nahor, he had Abram. Now, Haran was the father of Lot, and Haran died in the sojourning of Terah. So he picked Lot to take care of him. Now, Terah has died, so Abraham had to take care of Lot. So Lot was the nephew of Abraham. I hope you understand that. Now, God called Abraham, and Lot was with Abraham. And Lot traveled with Abraham wherever Abraham was going to. The beautiful thing that we got to know about it was that God did not call Lot. But despite the fact that God did not call Lot, we saw that Lot's proximity with Abraham had an implication on him. The blessings upon the life of Abraham began to trickle upon the life of Lot. That gives us a very principle about life, right? That it's possible for you not to be the one who directly receives the blessing, but because of association, on the ground of proximity, you can be a benefactor of that blessing because you are close to the blessed one. And that was what Lot enjoys. Now, you can now think and say, no, it should be me, they should bless, and so on. Whether you are the receiving end because you are by association, or the person you received it directly, the fact is you want to be a blessed person. And so that's what we'll see about the life of Lot. If we travel to the book of Genesis chapter 13, verse 2 to 7, we got to see that Lot became so blessed under Abraham that they almost became equal in their wealth. Just follow the story. He became so wealthy, the Bible records that he was so rich, their land could not take them. They're not talking about a plot of land. They're talking about spans of land that could equal to a city. If you check biblical history, I mean, people are not so much in the world those days, so they are not trying to cram themselves in a particular land space. So that you know the extent of the blessing that Abraham had. And then now it had trickled to Lot. Lot was almost equal with Abraham. Now, usually the blessing, as I've mentioned in one of our sessions, is that it's not the physical thing, right? It's something, it's a grace that rests upon someone. So the Bible tells us in the book of Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 3, that blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us with all spiritual blessings. So blessings exist in spiritual form. What you see in the physical form is the physical manifestation, which we may call prosperity. Prosperity varies in different ways. You may prosper in health, you may prosper in relationships, you may prosper in finances, you may prosper in property, you may prosper in mental capacity. Do you understand? So those are prosperity. Those are the physical manifestation of what already is. So you don't judge yourself by the physical thing. You judge yourself whether you have received the blessing. It's possible to have things in your hand and there is no blessing. If there is no blessing, it becomes a problem because eventually it's going to leave you, right? That is why the Bible says it is the Lord that blesses and does not add sorrow to it. Do you understand that? So we see that by implication, Lot was blessed and the land could not take them. Now, while I was doing this study, I began to wonder at a lot of things, and I will bring it up to you. I hope it's something that you have either noticed or you also notice with me as we journey. Now, because Lot and Abraham could not be together again because now their servants were fighting. I mean, my servant, your servant, always quarreling. Okay, Lot, come, let's settle this matter. I think the best way for us to settle this thing is to go to your own place, choose a place so that you stay, and then I will choose a place to stay. The Bible records that when Lot saw a part of it that was very green and so on, he decided to go there, right? And for Abraham, of course, it's the less choice place. But you see, that is why it is called the blessing. The blessing was resting on Abraham and not Lot. The problem was not that Lot was not discerning enough to know that it is because I am with this man that I have been blessed. You see, if we check a similar story to Laban and Jacob, Laban said, I have discerned by divination that I have been blessed because of you. So even though he was wealthier than Jacob, he knew that the blessing came from Jacob, right? So it's the same thing that we're trying to learn from the life of Lot and Abraham, that it matters that we know that we should be able to discern the carriers of blessings and know how to position ourselves around them. That is something very, very, very vital to learn from the life of Lot. Now let's go on. Lot traveled, left Abraham with all of his property and left. And the Bible recorded in the book of Genesis chapter 13 verse 11 to 12 that he went towards Sodom. Now, according to record, he didn't go to Sodom. He went near Sodom. You can check your different versions in the book of Genesis 13, 11 to 12. He went near Sodom. And now, he being near Sodom, there are many things that must have come up that we are trying to really understand, because eventually you will get to notice later on that he got himself into Sodom. And by my own study, I think he eventually became quite influential in Sodom, but its influence did not affect the culture of the place, because now you will notice that later on, Lot sat at the gate of Sodom. And in those days, it was influential people that sit at the gate of cities. So he must have been one of those elders in the land that was able to debate issues, solve problems, and so on. But he didn't get much respect per se. All right? Because that land was already what the Bible described as. The Bible said in the book of Genesis 13, verse 13, it said, the men of Sodom were wicked, great sinners against the Lord. So it didn't matter what you were coming with. It's like they were close to their judgment. They were already close to their judgment. Now, the first calamity that befell Lot by dissociating from Abraham and now associating with a place that was already on the way to judgment, the first calamity was that there was war. War broke out and Lot was taken captive along with his children, his wife. Now, the Bible recorded that Abraham, the blessed person now, gathered his household of 300 soldiers, went to fight 5 kings. Can you imagine that? And won the battle, brought Lot and other plunders. That's where you see where he met with the person called Melchizedek and offered the tenth, right? The tithe of the plunder. And there he received the blessing from Melchizedek. But that's not our subject of study today. We get to see that Lot was rescued by the blessed man. Now, I thought that Lot would say, okay, uncle, let me come and start living with you. But no, he went back to Sodom. This time in Sodom, the second calamity that would befall our brother Lot was the fact that he, even though he enjoyed exemption, because now God has said he wants to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. In the book of Genesis chapter 18, God came to Abraham and said, I want to destroy these people. Abraham made all of his negotiation. They could not find 10 righteous people in 2 cities. 10 they couldn't find, because it was only Lot, his wife, and 3 children that were righteous. So that's just 5. Now, if you were God, you looked at a whole city, no 10 people from one city, not talk of 2, is enough to be destroyed. So you get that negotiation that Abraham was doing. That's why he stopped at 10. 10 would have been a good number to stop at, but they couldn't find 10. So let's take out the little number we have and destroy the remaining. And so judgment came upon Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, strangely was the fact that when he was leaving Sodom and Gomorrah, right, even his sons-in-law, he had to go and talk to his sons-in-law. Come and follow me. They didn't respect him enough. They didn't respect him enough to even believe him. That means he had degenerated so much. How can somebody be so wealthy and come to such a level? It's not just the fact that Lot gradually began to diminish. It was the fact that even the honor upon him began to diminish. So the blessing upon the life of Lot did not only, the blessing upon the life of Abraham did not only release the blessing of wealth, it also released the blessing of honor, which we see are diminished at this particular point. Now, fast forward, they left Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. But on the way to their escape, the angel told Saul, escape to the mountain. Small-mindedness had already affected Lot, rather. Pardon me, please. I meant Lot. Now, by the time they told them, escape to the mountain, by scriptural understanding, we know mountain tops are a place of protection. They are places of divine security. They imply that you are going up a place that the Lord can walk with you and so on. But this guy said no, that there's a smaller town here. Are you getting that? It's like, I'm taking you to somewhere to start afresh with you. But no, I want, Angel, wait. If I found favor in your sight, can you imagine? You should go and do that study. It really beat my imagination. If I found favor in your sight, let me go to the smaller one. His mind had shrunk. It couldn't accommodate greatness anymore. Are you getting that? And so, let's move on. On the way there, he lost his wife. We know the story. Do not look back was the instruction. His wife looked back and he lost his wife. So he had lost properties, lost servants, lost his wife. Now he was left with 2 daughters. Are you seeing the proximity? He had gone far from the blessing and began to degenerate. And then now he came to the Zoar. He could not also live in Zoar. You need to study Lot. He could not also live in Zoar. He got tired of Zoar and had to go and stay in a cave. Just imagine how this man degenerated. You are at one point so wealthy as Abraham that you cannot live with Abraham. You have to separate. And now you have to live in a cave. And now they got to the cave. His daughters had to commit incest with him. I can't say he's the one that committed incest to them, because they had to put him under the influence of alcohol to get him into such states to commit incest with him. And that's how he got two problematic nations against Israel. Now, what is the lesson there? As you go into this year, it matters that you are discerning. There's a particular man of God in this nation, Apostle Joshua Selman, who will say, all blessings come from God through men to men. You should be discerning the kind of blessing that is coming through men to you. And it matters that you still remain in proximity with certain people. Okay? It matters. Sometimes they do not always come in the best packages. Sometimes they do not always come in the way you really want them to be. But it matters that you remain in that proximity. Because that's what we see in the life of Lot. He degenerated. Now, just so you know, Bible also records in the book of 2 Peter, chapter 1, I think verse 7, that he was described, chapter 2 rather, verse 7. I think he described Lot as the righteous Lot, right? So we are not saying he wasn't righteous. It's possible that you are righteous, but you are losing all the benefits of righteousness because you stayed away from source. You stayed away from connection that was supposed to position you for your establishment. Number two lesson, the Bible tells us in the book of Proverbs chapter 13 verse 20, it said that he that walks with the wise will become wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed. Just check out this scenario. Lot walked with wealthy and blessed Abraham. He was blessed. But when he became a companion of fools, Sodom and Gomorrah, he didn't become fool. He didn't become a fool. He entered into destruction. It was like it degenerated so far you couldn't compare the Lot that left Abraham to the Lot that was in that cave. Now, this is the question. Why is it? Because I was doing my study. Why is it that when Abraham had Isaac, I think that's in the book of Genesis chapter 21, why did Lot not go and visit Abraham? I thought of it. Okay, when Abraham came to rescue Lot, why didn't Lot go back to him? Okay, when you were rescued from Sodom and Gomorrah, from the destruction, why did you not think of it that, let me go and start again with my uncle? No. I think there must have been a serious problem with Lot. Possibly the problem of pride. Possibly the problem of competitive jealousy. Do you get me? That made him felt too big to go back to Abraham, because there was never a record that he went back to Abraham. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people put themselves in their undoing, as they will not discern that this is the person who is blessed. I should stay there by association. I think this is one prayer you need to pray for yourself, that God should help your heart. God should help our hearts, that if we discern somebody, there shouldn't be any pride too much to not let us submit ourselves to the grace that is flowing from them. Another thing is that you pray to be discerning of the people God has placed around you as your own channel of accessing God's grace in their lives. Some of you, it's your father in the Lord in the church. Some of you, it's certain leaders in your setting, your parents, but you despise them only for you to not know that that is your own key to your own breakthrough. May you not leave nor despise your helper. I pray for you that may you not be too big for your fountain to handle. Do you understand me? May you not become too proud for your fountain to handle. Stay connected to the fountain that God has linked you to. I hope this has been a blessing to you. If it has been a blessing to you, tell me something that you know about Lot and something that's challenged you about the life of Lot. Thank you very much. God bless you. Please do well to like, comment, and subscribe if you have not subscribed. See you in the next episode. God bless you.